to talk about what it's like to be shy and to transition and going out in public. Um, there are many hurdles that you have to face when you decide to live full time and go out in public, and you have to kind of gauge how comfortable you feel and what's going to work for you. Normally it can be an overwhelming and intimidating experience, and you want to make sure that you're approaching it in the right way and that you feel fairly confident and comfortable. Um, it's also helpful to have a therapist to talk to for insight, someone actually who specializes in male to female, or specializes in transgender related issues. But you also can join forums for cross-dressers and transgender individuals where there are many threads and topics that address the issue of going out in public. That's how I kind of learned some secrets and trying to find comfort. I still am actually a member of crossdressers.com, and I benefited quite a bit by introducing topics within the transgender and cross-dressing forums, and also by reading topics. And I kind of was interested in cross-dressers and transgenders' experiences in going out in public and how they felt about their experiences and what it was like for them. And I learned quite a bit, and I thought it was quite interesting. And I think that going out isn't an easy task. It takes a lot of preparation. You probably need to do some makeup. Obviously, selecting an appropriate outfit that doesn't draw too much attention to you will be very beneficial. And if you had somebody to go out with, like a girlfriend or a guy friend who's understanding, I think that helps also. But I think for the most part, you have to decide when it's the time that you feel comfortable doing it. There is no true gauge on when you feel ready to venture outside. Obviously, cross-dressing is a big part of the transitional process, and for most of us, we usually dress in private, in secrecy, where our desire to go out is limited, and we're kind of very anxious about it, and we feel like we're going to be found out if we go out. So it takes time, and you have to be very open-minded and accepting and not being afraid. You also have to develop a style that works for you, whether it be your clothing choice, the way you approach people, your mannerisms, the way you walk, the way you talk, the way you look at people, the way you smile, the way you greet somebody. I have come to a point where I'm much more comfortable going out, and I am pretty well accepted as female, and I certainly enjoy that experience, and think it's a great feeling. Certainly I didn't really enjoy going out as a guy. I wasn't happy in that way of dressing. I hated suits and ties. I got rid of all my suits and ties with the exception of one, which I saved just in case. But if you look at my closet, it's all filled with women's clothes, dresses and all. And that's really my wardrobe now. I don't need to wear men's clothes, and I despise wearing men's clothes. I actually get sick with the thought of wearing men's clothes. So I think getting out and exploring, you're going to have a lot of times where you feel alone and isolated. But once you're out and you feel comfortable and fairly confident, you're taking a big step, and that's essential in your transitional process, because as part of the requirements, if down the road you require gender reassignment surgery, you have to live and dress as a woman, presenting 24/7, and that's in your work environment and in your daily living. So the more you're out and dressed and presenting as a female, the closer you'll get to being able to get the approval for surgery. I'm not gonna lie and say it's that easy, but that's a big step to getting to that point. So for all those transgender girls who are seeking to do the surgery, getting out and expressing yourself as a female is very critical. And obviously that's common sense, because if you're going to live as a woman and transition, you're going to have to live as a woman, and you're going to have to be comfortable presenting as a woman. So certainly if that's how you felt since a young age, then transitioning to become a woman shouldn't really be that hard, since that's your mindset anyway. And it takes time to get to the point where you're very comfortable with yourself, and when you can talk to people. I try to feel at ease, and it's like I want to be in a situation where I meet somebody and can talk. The only anxiety I have is with regard to my voice, but I am passing and I am doing okay, and people accept me, and I think as time progresses and my voice lessons go along as anticipated, I will get to that point where I'm comfortable with my voice, and I won't be self-conscious about that. There was a point when I was self-conscious about going out in public, and I don't feel self-conscious anymore. So it is possible to get there. It just takes a lot of practice and a lot of encouragement and therapy. But it's possible. It definitely can be achieved. You just have to believe in yourself and seek out support. Going to support group meetings with the LGBT Center in your neighborhood or near where you live is very important. And establishing friends who are transgender also. I've met many friends, male to female transgender friends, some female to male, but mostly male to female. And it helps a lot. I've gone out a couple of times with my transgender friends, and I just feel like we have a real connection, and it's really nice to be able to talk and see others that are going through the same process that you're going through, and you kind of learn from each other. I also like to watch videos on YouTube. I get a lot of insight into transitioning and subscribing to trans girl channels. I'm mainly interested in the male to female transitions. I've watched a few female to male, but male to female is my interest because that's how I identify. So it makes perfect sense to be drawn to those videos. Also, I'm very impressed by a lot of the videos on YouTube by the male to female transgender girls. I think they're all beautiful girls, and their videos are amazing, and I just enjoy watching them. I learned a lot from the videos I've seen, and I wish there was a way I could get in touch with these girls, because it certainly would be beneficial to have friendships and talk to others that are experiencing what you're experiencing. Just like I seek out friends in the support groups, I think it would be nice to seek out friends on YouTube also. And I also leave comments and hoping that they'll reply back. I've had a couple of replies, but I think it's an important aspect in the transitional process is trying to find people who you can relate to and share your feelings with. And if you can find other male to female trans people, I think it will go a long way in your own progress and transition. We all have to transition on our own. We all have to take that bold step and feel comfortable with who we are and what we're doing. Certainly, in my case, I have a wife and a son, so it's a difficult situation. My life is very complicated. I've been out of work for a while now, and I'm finding it very hard to find work, but luckily I may have an opportunity to work with a woman who's very active in the transgender community. She has a website and a boutique, and you may be familiar with it. It's Femfever, Femmefever. If you look on Facebook for Femfever, you'll find it. I have it as a link on my About Me page, and the website and the Facebook page are good resources for male to female transgender individuals. And Karen is remarkable, and she's done makeovers for many transgender people, including myself. I had a makeover with her, and I had a therapy session with her as well. And I think she's an awesome person, and it would be tremendous if I could work with her. I would think that would be a wonderful opportunity for me, especially because I am a male to female transgender girl, and I would love that chance to be associated with someone who's very involved in the transgender community, and she's a special person, and I hope that it works out for the both of us. I enjoy creating and writing, and I love fashion, I love photography, I'm into athletic sports, I love my son. I have a 16-year-old son who's on the autistic spectrum with Asperger's. We have a great relationship despite my transitioning, and he's a remarkable young man, and I'm very proud of him. And my life is very satisfying knowing that I have a wonderful son. And he's pretty open-minded and very compassionate and empathetic in knowing what's going on with my own personal struggles. I think that when you can share your life and who you are as a person, the truth, I think that's very important. My wife is not accepting of my situation, and I think it is hurtful to her because I wasn't truthful when I first started having relations with her. I was afraid, that's the truth. I never told anyone, to be honest. And I found that being transgender was something I wasn't too keen on telling anyone. It was really my safeguarded secret, and I just couldn't even tell my wife-to-be. So, excuse me. Gotcha! We had a little unexpected guest there. But I think I got it. Oh gosh, I hate doing that, but I have no choice. Yeah, I wasn't really honest with my wife when I first met her. I was kind of afraid to tell her, and it really wasn't fair to her. And then much later, years later, for me to finally come out. So, you know, my wife is very much on the fence about my trans situation, and she has threatened divorce, which I'm not too happy about. But I can't hold her back. It's not fair to her. I probably would feel devastated if she started dating guys, because I do love and care for her. But I can't hold her back. you know, the reality is I am a woman. I've known it since I was a little kid, and I only tried my best to live as a guy, so I'm not very masculine, and it's quite obvious. Even my wife didn't think that I was very masculine, but we still decided to marry and have a family, and that's the best thing that ever happened in my life. The sad thing is, when I was marrying my wife, I'm going to get a photo so you can see her, and I'm going to get a baby picture of myself, but I think it would be helpful if you had her perspective. But I'll be right back, hold on. So I'm getting a picture of my son, of myself. Oh, I can get a picture of my son also, actually. Here's my son. He's really cute. If you can see that, that's when he was just a little boy. And when he was about maybe a year and a half or 2 years old in this picture, I believe. Very cute, and his baby picture. This is a picture of me and my wife, which I shared in a previous video. She's a beautiful bride, as you can see, and that's me as the groom, and this is me as a baby. As you can see, I'm a boy. I was born a boy, though I relate as a girl. And so you can see that my life is complicated, and it's complicated for many transgender individuals. I don't know anybody who goes through transgender struggles and transitioning that doesn't struggle. There's no way, because life is complicated to begin with. But if you add into the mix gender identity disorder and gender identity disorder and gender dysphoria, you're talking about something that really affects a person's whole outlook on their life. Just imagine if you despised your body and felt uncomfortable and wanted to die because of it. That's how most transgender people feel. They just can't accept who they are. They don't feel comfortable in their body, and they hate it with a passion, and they just feel totally devastated and want to change their bodies to be consistent to how they feel internally. I've struggled with my own feelings since I was 3, and I know that those feelings never go away, but you try to accept as best you can for your own sake and to survive. You have to be strong, and nobody's gonna understand what you go through unless you seek out a sympathetic therapist and doctor. Certainly you need to find a support system. You can't do this on your own. And, sadly there are a lot of transgender individuals that commit suicide. It's a very disturbing reality, but that's something that most of us can relate to. And I know from my own personal experiences, having attempted suicide a few times, that it's not a good place to be. I've been in the hospital several times because of my transgender related struggles and depression and suicide attempts and suicide ideation. It's not a fun place, and you have to try to find your inner strength to be strong. One thing that keeps me going despite my depression and my transgender struggles is my 16-year-old son. We do a lot of things together. I'm his father, and I love my son, and we have good father-son bonding times. I still go out in public as a woman, even in my son's presence. He is old enough to understand and accept me, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of conversation and a lot of patience when you're dealing with family as you transition. Sadly, there are many, or a good amount of transgender individuals that face rejection by their family. They don't get approval, and they face rejection in the job market. They lose friends, and sadly some succumb to severe depression, which leads or can lead to suicide. So being transgender there is so much involved, and once you decide to embark on your transitional journey, you have to really be ready for it. But the first thing that you need to do, obviously, is to seek out therapy. Look for forums and trans-related websites or cross-dressing related websites that can benefit you as you transition. You certainly have to consider hair removal procedures such as electrolysis or laser. Personally, I do electrolysis because of the permanency of the hair removal. Though it is an arduous process, it's not painful, but it's a very long and expensive process. And also, for me,